Hey guys, this is Arianne from Double A. Have you ever wanted to start a podcast? Well, let me tell you about Anchor. It's actually the app that I'm using now. It's completely free. You don't even have to pay to download it on your phone or tablet. And you can also use the website anchor.fm. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. So Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. And you're wondering, what? Yeah, it's true. You can. So it can be heard from Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many, many more. You can also make money from it. Come on, we all love that little green in our life with no minimum listenership. That means you can have one listener or two listeners and you still get paid. Come on now. And it's everything you need to make for a podcast all in one. Completely. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Hey guys, this is Arianne and Amber from Double A. We apologize that tonight's episode is behind a little bit on schedule. We had a family emergency that we had to take care of, but we're here now with you and we're ready to dive into this sadistic case of a gentleman named, and I'm sorry I butchered this, Tsusumu Miyazaki. Now, Tsusumu Miyazaki was born on August 21st, 1962. He is dubbed the Otaku murderer, or quote-unquote the little girl murderer, translated in Japanese. He was a serial killer, cannibal, and child rapist. He is known to have murdered and abducted 4 young girls and then sexually molested their corpses.
Wow.
So a little bit on Mr. Miyazaki. He was born prematurely and he had a birth defect that essentially had his joints combined together where he cannot, it prevented his wrist from bending upward.
Interesting.
Which is I don't think I could ever see a wrist not being able to be bent upward, but
like this way?
Yeah, just bent upward. So due to this, he was often bullied at school. So he was very lonely. He was also, I would say, the black sheep of his family.
Yeah.
He had 2 older sisters. Oh no, I apologize. 2 younger sisters. And their parents actually favored the sisters over him. And so that made him a little bit more, what's the word?
Ostracized?
Yeah, ostracized.
He felt like abandonment, neglected.
And I don't know, while I was reading the story, it just dawned on me that, everybody has, if you have multiple people in your family, you have multiple siblings, there's always that one sibling that not only you think is weird, just different. And so that's what Miyazaki was. So not only was he bullied at school, but essentially when I was reading it, he was kind of bullied at home as well.
Not like abused or anything.
Not physically abused, but mentally he was abused. So he shared a room with his older sister, which, when I was reading the story, he was it seemed like he was wanting to get with his sister.
That's understandable from what it seems like his mindset would have been like. I could see that.
It's just the story. Oh my gosh. So let me tell you more about him and his childhood. So the only person that really got close to him was his grandfather. His grandfather seemed to understand Miyazaki, was always the one to seem to calm him if he got upset.
So he was patient with him, and
he was very loving.
Yeah.
He was the only person that showed any kind of love towards Miyazaki,
Affection.
and he reciprocated that. So he would do anything for his grandfather, felt very close with his grandfather. Sadly, his grandfather passed away in May of 1988.
So let me guess, that's when all shit broke loose.
Basically.
Okay.
So, when his grandfather was alive, he was great at school. He was still lonely, he was still bullied, but he was the top 10 of his class.
Sweet.
And then all of a sudden, his grades plummeted. Nobody knew the reason why. This was shortly before his grandfather died.
So he like just withdrew completely.
Completely.
It seemed like he might have like had a premonition. Maybe he knew something bad was about to happen.
I think now he was born prematurely, so I know a lot of preemies have a lot of defects inside their in their body system, so that could have contributed to it. But the fact that he just all of a sudden went from top 10 of his class to 40th out of 50.
I mean, that is a drastic change. Something happened.
And it's not noted what did happen.
Yeah.
So
he might not have ever been known. He might not have ever told anyone.
Yeah, in none of his court cases or anything that I have read, every single one of them said that it was not stated how it plummeted or the reason why it plummeted.
Like his disinterest in his academics.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So, due to that fact, originally he wanted to go to this high-end college in Tokyo to become a teacher.
Nice.
But since his grades plummeted, he was unable to secure a spot.
So then he got pissed off.
So then he got disheartened and decided to go to a community college, which, if you don't know, in Asia countries, grades and education is the most important thing. We go and study our butts off. In Korea, Japan, and China, I know they have 2 different schools. One, your main school, and then your night school that you go straight to do your studies.
God, this hardcore studying right there.
So it's up until 10 o'clock at night. You go home, you go back to school by 8 o'clock the next morning.
So you just live, eat, and breathe.
So and then you're talking about people trying to go to college. And over there, when you go to college, you interview for the college. It's like you're interviewing for a job. Not only do you have to have the grades, but you have to present yourself to the department that you're going into.
Certain prestigious schools here do that too, and you have to do like a video.
You have to sit down and do an interview.
And do like a whole essay and all that kind of stuff. Certain schools are like that, but it seems like there is a level of perfection that is, required. Like you have to be a certain type of way in the culture, and maybe that I just kind of like disinterested in, like a lot of pressure.
Essentially. But I think when his grades plummeted, I think at that point he just did not care. And I think it's, like his parents now are even more upset. They were already disappointed in him throughout his life. And then here comes his grades.
So he's like an embarrassment now.
Yeah, now he's a really bad embarrassment. Yeah. So he ended up going to a junior college and studying and becoming a photo technician.
Cool.
So it may seem cool to us, but in Japan at that time, you're talking about in the 1980s. When Asian cultures at that time is you're required to be a doctor, a nurse, something of a prestigious career. and a photo technician, you're not going anywhere with that.
I swear, like, I love you Asians because I swear I think you guys are like the most genius people on earth. But you guys are so hard on yourselves.
We're very hard. We're very hard
like
on ourselves.
It must be so hard to be of Asian descent, and everybody else in the world like loves Asian culture. Like, people rip off of Asian stuff. Everybody loves Japan, Tokyo. Everybody loves the things that come from there, the food, the anime,
And you would
stuff.
never think this would come about.
No.
Come out of Japan, because you're talking about Japan being 90% of the people being genuine and nice. Like, they're known to, you can leave a phone on the street and your wallet with all your money in the street and it never be taken or stolen, or you'll get a call saying, hey, your stuff is at the police station with all your stuff still there.
Nice.
So he's coming from a country that we all thought, was
that basically produces a better type of individual.
Exactly. Yeah. So, but we see more and more now how strict they are, and it puts people at stress.
Yeah.
And to be in a family that pushes you to be all that you can be, and then if you do one thing wrong, they're like, oh no, we don't want you in our family anymore. You're not going to be part of this family. You're not going to have our name.
That is so freaking sad. Like, it doesn't feel like there's love in Asian culture. It feels like it's all hard work.
It's all hard work. And then the men, if you are a man in the family, it's twice as hard. So Mr. Miyazaki was supposed to take over his dad's printing shop. But he, of course, did not. So that's even more of a disappointment towards his family, because now since he was the only boy in the family, he was supposed to carry that print shop on through generations.
Legacy.
So now it stopped. Exactly.
Yeah, he was supposed to keep the legacy on. Got it.
And again, like I said, this is in the 1980s where things were more stricter than they are now. So back then, girls, especially in Japan, were not known to carry their father's legacy. It's the man in the family that carried it.
Listening to you kind of break down his background, it makes you feel really like sorry. And like, I listen to a lot about these murderers, serial killers, and all that, and all their stories are so heartbreaking, and it makes you, it's like, it kind of gives you a sense of pity, but then you're like, you did this god awful thing. But I understand, like, a lot of them, they don't experience love. They don't know how to recognize what that is. So they might have been, given love, but they haven't noticed what it was to receive that love. And it seems like a lot of them are just cold-hearted. And I've always felt like maybe it's not really that. Maybe they just need to be shown differently,
right?
So like, listening to his story, like, you can tell like he's missing love. He's like alone. It doesn't sound like he has a friend, like no one to talk to. The only person that showed him any kind of affection
was his grandfather. Yeah,
and so he's so alone in this world and no one to turn to. And then he's like got all this pressure to be perfect. That's heartbreaking to hear.
Mm-hmm. And I think with his deformity, I think with his family, making him the black sheep didn't stand up for him. Because from what I was reading, his family did not stand up to any kind of bullies or anything. Just basically told him, you got to suck it up.
That's hard. That's difficult.
For him, for a child, you're thinking it's your fault that you were born that way.
Yeah.
So, when his grandfather died, again, it was in May 1988 when his grandfather died. It is known or said that it deepened his depression. And, of course, isolated him even more. Because the number one person that supported him, the number one person that loved him or showed any kind of affection to him is no longer here.
Yeah.
So, his grandfather got cremated. So, he said, quote unquote, he wanted his grandfather close to him and retain something from him. So,
like, what was this something?
And I'm not laughing because it's funny. It just boggles my mind. So he ate his grandfather's ash.
Are you fucking kidding me? Like, literally, like,
part of it, yeah.
Like in cereal, like mixed in with rice, or just.
It's not said how he ate it, but it just says he ate part of his grandfather's
that's
ashes.
Showing some sadistic behavior right there. Was that in front of anyone, or is it just something he admitted?
It's just something that he admitted.
Wow.
So, a couple weeks later, his older sister caught him watching her while she was taking a shower. Now, mind you, he shared a room with his sister.
So, of course, if you're, like, spending so much time with the opposite gender, regardless of DNA here, you're going to start developing something weird, but go further.
And so, what happened, his sister told him, like any normal person would, told him to leave. Yeah. Any normal person.
Like leave the room or leave the house?
Just leave the room because she was taking a shower. She's naked. She's taking a shower. And he's sitting, I picture sitting right there at the door. Now in Japan, the bathroom, how the bathrooms are, they're not like here where we have a bathtub, a shower curtain. It's open.
No, like, bathroom door?
There's the bathroom door. But, I mean, the shower and the toilet is mostly wide open because the tiles on the floor, there's a drain on the floor. So, it's easier for you to clean your whole bathroom. So they take the shower head and they'll scrub the walls and the sinks and the mirror all at once. And it just goes down to the drain that's on the floor.
So, we're thinking, like, locker room type bathroom style?
Basically, yeah.
Gotcha.
So, I'm picturing, especially around that time, that they definitely didn't have shower curtains.
So, this is a big mind fuck right there, because now she's feeling like this perv keeps watching me and there's nothing protecting me from being seen. So, she's feeling all these valid emotions. It's what's going on in his head at this moment.
Exactly.
You know?
So, when she told him to leave, he attacked her.
Of course, because why would he want to leave? He's looking at a naked girl.
It's not stated what happened after he attacked her. It just said that, I'm guessing, she fought back. She went to her mother. Mother learned of what happened. So rather than reprimanding him, she basically just told him, you need to work more. You need to be out of the house more. You need to earn more money.
What the fuck? Seriously?
For the family, basically.
So this woman she doesn't even give a shit that he fucking attacked her daughter that's naked and now she's feeling violated, and she's probably gonna have self-esteem issues and trust issues.
She's trying to keep it quiet in the family, because you've got to understand, like I said, it is, regardless of what social status you are, whether you're rich, you're poor, you're middle class, if it gets out around to your neighbors that something is going on in your family, us Asians are a whole bunch of gossipers.
Why are y'all so nosy though?
Because we just like to know these news. I mean,
it ain't none of your business what's going on in my house, honey.
I am gonna watch you. and so she basically just told him, you need to get out of the house more, in hopes that with him getting out of the house more would mean that none of this would happen in her house.
Are you fucking kidding me?
So she basically, quote unquote, demanded, unquote, to spend more time working and less time with his videos. And what videos, you ask? Porn, of course.
Of course.
We're talking about regular porn at this time.
So
at this time.
Not the BDSM type
not
shit.
Not the BDSM, not the crazy porn, just regular porn.
What is regular porn?
I guess just vanilla porn, okay?
What the hell is vanilla porn?
Two positions. Laid back, missionary and doggy. That's the 2 points, okay? But when she, quote unquote, demanded, I love that. I demand you to work more.
Get off your ass. Stop watching porn and quit looking at your sister's tits and work.
Exactly. He attacked her as well.
Of course. I mean,
I promise you guys, we are not laughing because it's funny.
It's like fucked up.
It's messed up, and it's like, you know, if you're not from that culture, if you've never learned about another culture, you need to. Because in order to realize what's going on, you need to know that culture a little bit. Because then it's just like, that's fucked up. Because,
it is.
You know, me being in America for so long, for over 20 years, you know, it's like I have my American ways, but at the same time, I know my Filipino ways and I know my Filipino culture.
And listening to this, it's like we're Americanized. So listening to this and the such the high standards it's demanded of all Asians, it's just it's just so. I know I'm cussing like a sailor. I know you'll learn that I just have no filter on that, and I we'll just have to get over that. That's just how I talk. It's fucked up, literally. Like, I could never. All I can say is, what the fuck? That's it.
Because we would think if that would happen to any of our kids, it's immediate. Nope, that kid's gonna be kicked out. That kid's gonna go into a mental institution. We're gonna call the cops.
We're going to try to help that child.
Exactly.
Figure out what's wrong. But it's like they're just like throwing him to the side. He's not trash, but here he's been treated like trash.
They're more, like I said, in the Asian culture, our name, our family name, because here in America you have all these names, and a lot of them are the same names. You can have Smiths, you can have Johnsons everywhere, and nowhere be related. But you go to a Asian country, the last name can be traced down way far.
So are you saying like all Wangs or Wongs are related?
Mostly, yeah. So you got different family trees, and then you figure out from there if you guys are from the same family tree. And so the family name is very, very, very important. And so when you get married in Asian culture, you don't take up your husband's name. Your husband's last name.
Why?
So you can keep your family name. But here's the kicker. If you are a woman in that family, granted you still keep your maiden name, but your kids don't have your maiden name. They have your husband's maiden name.
What?
So they end up becoming that family tree.
I mean, this is some fucked up lineage here.
So it's weird and odd, and
I don't get it, but sure, we'll rock with it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So after he attacked the mother, it said that around that time, that's when he started, the switch went off in his head, that he went from regular porn to child porn.
So now he's straight on, full on pedo.
Exactly. He started having these interests in these young girls. It said in the documents that he would go to parks by himself. He would see a child playing by herself, and he felt close to her because of the fact that he thought she was lonely, because he sees that she's playing by herself. So he felt like he had an emotional connection to this person.
It's not like him at the age and state of mind that he is now. It's like that child in him, that innocence that was taken away from him, is craving that again. So seeing that, it's like it is satisfying that inner child of him. I can get that. I can see that.
Exactly.
I don't agree with it. Let me put that out there on the record. I don't agree with it, but I get it.
It's, I mean, we don't know, you know, if he really went to these playgrounds just to watch. So it's kind of an unknown reason why he would go to these playgrounds. So now, after that, we see his family start seeing this change in him. He's becoming more isolated. He's basically shunned his family. He's not talking to anyone. Of course, like I said, his grandfather passed away, so he's literally just alone. So his family members saw this change, and they also noticed that he was spying on his two little sisters.
So he went from
he went from attacking his older sister and attacking his mom to now spying on his two younger sisters. Yeah.
Okay. So
and
right
again,
now
this is
it all in the family.
Yes. So this is while they were showering too, because they're.
Oh, because he likes them wet, apparently.
Yup. So then, in August of 1988, mind you, his grandfather just passed away of May of 1988. So this was just a few months later, in August of 1988, the day before he turned 26, he abducted a 4-year-old, which I'm not going to name because it is a child at that time. And he approached her and led her back into his car. Now, in Japan, even to this day, kids are led around and roam free. A lot of them actually take trains by themselves to go to school.
I've seen that. I don't like it, but
but back, well, even now, you know, like I said, Japanese were known to be very courteous, to be very honest.
Trustworthy.
Exactly.
Yeah.
When they see a child either getting lost or need help, they help them. So to these kids, it's like, oh, I see an adult.
Like everybody's a family, like it's a big village.
Exactly. Basically. So it's when this child had seen him, it was like, oh, he's, you know, going to help me. It's safe.
Yeah.
So it took really no hard work on his end to get her into the car. So they drove to a wooded area about west of Tokyo, underneath a bridge. Nobody could see, any passerbys couldn't see it. And for about half an hour, they just sat there.
Weird. No music,
just sat there.
Interesting.
Then out of the blue, he murdered her.
Like just turn around and just stabbed her.
Yep.
So they're just sitting there, probably looking at the moon and the stars, not saying anything, and then random.
Probably. The little girl, I couldn't even imagine what that little girl was thinking within those 30 minutes.
I'm sure she was terrified. She was somewhere weird with a strange guy.
And he did not state with the police what happened in that car, but they did notice that her clothes were stripped off. But he admitted he raped her after he killed her.
What is that called?
Necrophilia.
So there's no known factors of mood changes. It just sitting there just randomly just dead. Like, so we don't know.
They think that a switch went off after his grandfather died. He was already slowly showing signs by either watching family members take showers, going to the playground. It was not known why he would go to the playground by himself, or if he just wanted to go there to watch kids. It was just not really known. And there are a lot of playgrounds in Tokyo, because you were talking about these apartment buildings, high rises, full of families. There's a playground around in every corner. So he's sitting in one watching a child play. He went from regular porn to child porn. So I can imagine seeing a child walking down the street, and he's just like, I'm going to see if I can pick this little girl up. And I guess he never told police what he was thinking about within those 30 minutes. But I can imagine him thinking over what he's going to do to this child, to this poor young girl.
I want to try to dissect this from what I'm grasping, what I'm seeing, and how I'm feeling listening to this. There is a lot of the disassociative tendencies there. I'm feeling like he's not schizo, you know. He probably is manic depressive, and it seems like he does have personality disorder.
It gets worse.
It seems like, like he's got, when the flipping like that, it's like a different personality. So I'm not going to say like he's bipolar or anything like that. I just feel like,
I think he already had it. That's what, from him just switching from high grades, I think his family life, his school life, him not becoming a teacher, not going to the college that he wanted to go to, and his family thinking that he's an embarrassment, a disappointment, I believe that it just kept on adding on, and then the person that was keeping all that down is now dead.
He's just never been given the proper tools to deal with the misfortunes of his life.
Exactly.
And never had proper talking.
This happened a couple months after his grandfather died. His grandfather died in May of 1988. The first abduction and murder happened in August of 1988.
I get that. Like, I understand, because, like, when my grandfather passed away, he was, like, the only person that I considered a dad. He was the only dad to me. And so, like, when he died, I realized, like, death was real. It's a real, live, happening thing. Like, the oh shit button hit. And I was like, I didn't sleep for, like, 3 months. If I did, it was, like, a 30-minute nap here or there. And I was pregnant. Yeah. So I was just like, I get, like, how it can change you, because it changed me. That was the day I grew up. And I was in my 20s. That was the day I grew up. The day that he died. Life was never the same again. So I get it. I understand.
So it was, I imagine it was hard for him, but at the same time, it was, you know, I don't think he ever wanted to change. I think he knew he had it in him to kill, and he had interest in little girls. So, like I said, the worst is yet to come. He's already killed her. He's already raped her while she was dead.
I wonder if that was him losing his virginity.
You know what? It probably is. Because it never stated if he never had a girlfriend. Or if he did, he never told the police, and it was never noted.
I doubt that he would have a girlfriend with how that sounds.
Nope.
Because remember, here, like, the body is of age. His body's 26, but his mind is still that little kid that needs that love and that attention and that affection.
Probably.
You know, so...
Because I guess it would make sense on this next part, because he removed her hands and feet.
So we're talking
And
about Saw, like the movie
yeah.
Saw action here.
And kept them in his closet.
Mementos. So let's get your extremities for a memento.
So what he then did, now mind you, this little girl's parents are now looking for her. They've called the police. They've told the police, what clothes she was wearing. I guess she was either on her way back home. I don't know what a 4-year-old would be doing outside at that.
Right, that baffles me. She was 4 years old and just out wandering by herself. Like,
so
could she even talk?
I'm not exactly sure. So then, what he did was put her clothes in a box and mailed it to the family.
Are you fucking kidding me?
This is after he would call the family constantly, and if the family didn't answer, he would call and call and call. When they finally picked up, he would just be on the other end, just breathing heavily.
Weird. Now, does it state when he sent the box of her belongings if he had a return address?
No, there was no return address.
Okay, so he's not stupid.
No. So, he sent the clothes and sent her teeth.
The fuck?
Sent a few of her teeth. And a postcard.
Are you kidding me? A postcard?
So now this is in Japanese and this is roughly translated. It says Mari, part of her name, because her name is pretty long. Cremated bones, investigate and prove. So quote unquote, Mary cremated bones, investigate, prove.
So he wants to be caught.
He wants the family to investigate and prove that he did it. But there was no return address. And like I said, this was in 1988. Forensics are not that big just yet. And we're talking about Japan. Japan may be higher in tech now, but when it came to police work, they're actually quite behind.
I was gonna say, like, Japan is the shit when it comes to technology.
Yes, but it's technology for entertainment.
Yeah, I get it.
Entertainment purposes. So he had sent those, and it was, I can't imagine being that parent to open up that box and just find my child's clothes right there.
I was just hoping he was dumb enough to leave a return address, because that is some swift ass kicking coming.
Yeah. So, October, same year, 1988, he abducted a second little girl. This time she was 7 years old, who again spotted walking home on the road. Offered her a ride, and just like the first girl, drove her to the same secluded wooded area that's underneath a bridge, the same exact location that he killed his first girl, and killed her. It is known that he killed her immediately this time rather than waiting 30 minutes. He again sexually assaulted the corpse, but this time left it naked in the woods. So dumped her body.
That 30 minutes, he was thinking, probably thinking of how he was going to do it, when he was going to do it, what he was going to do it, and probably just like, fuck it, and just went at it. And then the second time, he's like, well, I already knows.
Yeah, he already knows what he was going to do.
Yeah.
So this time, he didn't dismember the little girl. He just dumped her in the wooded area, but took the clothes with him.
Because, again, he needs his memento.
Yeah. So, around this time, you see two little girls go missing. They get killed. Of course, it runs panic. And I'm guessing they're in the same little village, in a rural area of Tokyo. Not the big city part, just a small village, west of Tokyo. So I'm guessing a word gets around rather quickly.
Of course.
So now panic is running around. Parents are now worried about their kids, and it's just mayhem at this time.
This is turning into serial.
Yeah,
It's
so
not just a murder.
exactly. So now he is dubbed the Otaku murderer, or how it's translated in Japanese, little girl murderer.
Of course.
So,
Rightfully so.
yeah. So, within 8 months, there would be 2 more children that would go missing, both young girls, and they would go in the same manner, them walking home. So, one of them is a 4-year-old, and she was walking home along the road, and this time she didn't want to go into the car.
Of course not. Like, worries about that there's somebody out there.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now we have Miyazaki here forcing her
So
in the
this
car.
would cause a disturbance. Like, somebody's going to hear this.
Exactly. So he's forcing her to get into the car. And he's not a big man. We're thinking that this is going to be a big man. He is typically around 5'4".
So it's average.
Yeah, so he's average, skinnier, but a 4-year-old little girl is super skinny as well.
Yeah.
So very easy to power over. Forced her in the car and took off her own clothes in the back seat.
Took off her own clothes. Like, she took them off?
He forced her to take off
Okay.
her clothes in the back seat.
And that's embarrassing for her.
Exactly. Then he took pictures of her. This time he took pictures of her naked.
Okay.
Then murdered her. Tied her hands and her feet. And which is, you're thinking, like, all the past 2 murders have been the same, essentially the same area. This time it's in a different area.
So trying to throw them off.
Different MO, essentially. So rather than leaving her body where he killed her, he put her in the trunk of his car, then dumped her body in a random parking lot with her clothes nearby in the wooded area.
Interesting.
So this is to throw normal police off. But I don't know what is up with him liking sending stuff to the families. So he decided to send a note with, like, kidnapping letters. You know, the letters that you cut off from magazines.
Yeah.
Kidnapping letters.
Like the ransom stuff.
Yeah. Quote unquote, the little girl's name. And it says cold, cough, throat, rest, and death.
A man of many words.
Yeah, exactly. So, that was his third abduction and killing. So his 4th one is dubbed essentially his final one. Is known to be the most disturbing.
Okay.
So it is a 5-year-old, this time in June of 1989. He convinced this little girl to take a picture of her. And then murdered her. He murdered her, took her corpse home rather than dumping it.
So he's out of the house by now, or is he still with his family?
I believe he's still with his family.
Okay.
Because it never stated that he was out of the house. So I'm figuring this is all with his family there. And essentially, for this to be able to happen, it would have to be in daylight. One, because parents do not let their kids out at sundown. So they had to be during the day. And that's when essentially the families are out for the day. If there are housewives, that's when they do their errands. The husbands are at work. The kids are at school. So that is typically the perfect time frame for him to bring in a corpse without anybody knowing.
Gotcha.
Okay. So he spent 2 days sexually abusing this corpse.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Wow.
Photographing it.
Like just the body, or
Yep, photographing her.
Okay, so not him in action.
No. And masturbating to it.
To the photos or to the body? Or both?
To both.
Interesting.
Then, it gets worse. He dismembered the body, drank the girl's blood, and ate her hands and feet.
So he's a cannibalistic vampire now.
Essentially. Yeah.
Wow.
So basically, as soon as the body started beginning to decompose, that's when he dismembered the rest of her body and then threw it off at different parts of Tokyo. So basically drove around Tokyo and started throwing it out the window.
Interesting. And no one found this to be odd?
Including a cemetery, a public toilet, and nearby woods.
So you're telling me no one noticed anything?
No. If he dismembered the body, it would be very easy to hide it in a bag, an over-the-shoulder bag. Because even men, to this day in Tokyo, if you're a businessman, you have a tote bag. Everybody carries around a bag. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people that carry around a luggage, that drag around a luggage in Tokyo.
Essentially as their briefcase, but...
because a lot of them sometimes stay in their office, because office workers tend to sleep in their office because they work super late and then they have to be up super early in the morning. Mm-hmm. They live out of their suitcase.
Understandable.
And Tokyo being the epitome of like a lot of tourists, a lot of people living there, the rent is quite high for a small space, so they'd rather sleep in their office and then travel back home where it's cheap on the weekends.
Interesting. Okay.
So you will see a lot of people. It's not uncommon to see people lug around a suitcase.
Okay.
So it's quite very easily for him to carry dismembered body parts in bags, in suitcase, in a tote bag.
So he's very unsuspicious.
Basically. So,
Wait, does he still do the photo thing? At this point, what is he doing during the day? Like, what?
I want to say he's still working, but because these 4 murders are sporadic, I mean, within a couple of months, so it's not like he was doing it weekly.
So he must have just had a random day off and decided, let me go kill a 4-year-old?
I guess whenever he felt like it, or whenever he was going by and he sees a child. Because, I mean, we've got August and then October of 1988. That's when panic set in. And then his third murder happened early of 1989. His last one, June of 1989. So, about a few months apart. And so he just started depositing all these body parts, different locations. And he decided, like, I guess he was sitting at home. He feared that the police would find the body parts, the ones that he deposited in the cemetery.
So now he's paranoid.
Yeah. Oh, excuse me. And then, so he decided to go back and get them, retrieve them. And so he kept those in his closet.
Okay.
Yeah. So then the police identified the last, I'm sorry. They identified the body from the first child, the one that he sent the clothes to. Mm-hmm. And now Miyazaki sees these the announcement on the TV that they found this note that they're investigating, and described, what their child looked like. And yeah. So he was apprehended, I apologize, while he was attempting his 5th kidnapping.
Are you kidding me?
So yeah, in the middle of a drive, he got caught by police that just happened to be at the side of the road at this time. Figured something was weird and stopped him. So, oh no, I apologize. So July of on his 5th one, this is his 5th one. In July of 1989, he had spotted a couple of kids playing in their yard, and he got one to come close to him. Police is on the other side of the road, and in the attempt of kidnapping, the father of the children came out, attacked him, cops came.
Okay.
That were across the road, on the side of the road.
Go dad.
Yeah. So, this is the stupid part, and I don't know how this happened. So, while in the midst of this attack, and while the police is coming over, he escapes the grasp and runs around the neighborhood by
he's
foot.
Fucking thin as a fucking pencil. Of course he could do that.
By foot. But here's his fucked up part. He came back to get his car.
Okay. I mean, a man has to have his wheels, dude.
He came back to get his car, and that's when he got ambushed by the police.
I don't know. They're thinking, okay, he's gonna need these wheels. Let's do a stakeout. And he's like, man, I need my wheels.
Yeah.
Let me go back and get them. Boom.
So,
apprehended, buddy.
When they were getting all these evidence, they go to his house. They find, of course, the body parts that he hid in his closet. And then he had over 5,000 child pornographies hidden. And then there were some anime and slasher films and videos of him abusing the corpses. Most of those videos were of the one that he took home. The 4th little girl.
Of course. That's the one he had most access to.
Yeah. So this whole time, they got all this evidence. It's a sure, closed case. He's the one who did it. He showed no remorse, of course. Reporters said that he seemed indifferent and quote-unquote entirely unbothered.
So this is like the personality disorder part that I was feeling.
He did not care about the fate he was facing against the trial. He did not feel remorse or sorry for the families. He answered questions very calm, cool, and collected.
I mean, what can we expect after learning this about his life? Why would we expect him to have any emotion when he wasn't shown but for a brief moment of his life, some kind of emotion?
So, back to what you were saying, that he had a personality disorder. Yeah. So he blamed it on an alter ego he called Ratman.
Of course.
Who lived inside him and, quote, forced him to do terrible things.
And of course, it's been going on this long because he's not had the proper tools to be diagnosed and treated the way he needs to be. He's not stable.
Yeah.
So, of course, there's no excuse in the world that can take the place of these kids losing their life. It's just a tragedy that this man wasn't shown the proper love and affection from the family and given those tools that a lot of us here in America take advantage of. Like, he literally had no one and nothing on his side to help him become better. He didn't know how. He couldn't ask for help because, hell, who's going to help him?
Exactly.
So he's stuck over here in a place in his head that he can't get out of because he doesn't know how to get out of it, spiraling out. And what can we expect? Like, we can't expect nothing good to come from that. We can't. And it's sad and it's terrible and it's horrible that, these children had to die. It's also sad that he had to go through the life that he went through. I hate it. I always wondered, like, what is in the mind of the killers? And typically I'm thinking it's like a chromosome error or some kind of malfunction in the genetic coding. But
it also doesn't help the environment that they're in.
Right. And that's what I'm feeling like here, like, we do have some genetics that play a factor. Not all premature babies turn out to be serial killers, but of course there's some kind of defection going on with him. And then on top of that, he's like alone, even though he's surrounded by people.
Yeah. So the psychologist at the trial, they pinpointed the lack of connection with his parents.
Yeah, there's nothing there.
So they noted that since he was not connected to his family basically disowned him.
Yeah.
Okay. They disowned him earlier. And it was just like a nail on the coffin. So he would go into a fantasy world. You go to manga, anime, slasher films, movies.
Like, I'm into all that.
To give him calm.
Yeah, I get it.
Because that was his interest.
Like, that was his escape.
That was his escape. That was his peace of mind. So, his father refused to pay for his son's legal fees, which is understandable. You don't want to be associated with someone that's killing these.
Yeah. You don't want to be an enabler.
Yeah. These, young girls. So, his father actually committed suicide later in 1994. So, yeah. So now, you would think with this case, like I said, it was basically a closed case. They already know who the killer is. He's talking. But believe it or not, it actually took 7 years.
Why?
For his trial.
Why 7 years?
It was basically it was to determine if he was feeble-minded.
Well, we already know that's not the fucking factor. We know that he's not.
Yeah, so the courts eventually, after 7 years, found it that he was of sound mind and was actually thinking thoroughly.
So
Yeah, so now
I'm not following.
he received a death penalty.
So they think that this man has proper sanity and he's just a normal guy, normal Joe that's going on
That's within the 7 years. Psychologist came in, was trying to figure out if, there was something mentally wrong with him that affected this. Even though he stated that the quote unquote rat man that was living inside him was the one telling him to do all this stuff. A lot of them didn't believe it.
So they thought it was a cop-out for him.
Exactly. So it took 7 years for them to come to the conclusion that he was actually, regardless of his deformity, regardless of him being disconnected from his family, he was actually of sound mind.
Did they investigate his life, like how we have just come together and pieced together his life up until this trial? Did they get to know his background, or did they just go by how he was after he's been caught, after he's given up and he's free to be his true self?
I am not exactly sure. Hey guys, this is Arianne from AA. Have you ever wanted to start a podcast? Well, let me tell you about Anchor. It's actually the app that I'm using now. It's completely free. You don't even have to pay to download it on your phone or tablet. And you can also use the website, anchor.fm. There's also creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. So Anchor will also distribute your podcast for you. And you're wondering, what? Yeah, it's true. You can. So it can be heard from Spotify, Apple Podcast, and many, many more. You can also make money from it. Come on, we all love that little green in our life, with no minimum listenership. That means you can have one listener or two listeners and you still get paid. Come on now. And it's everything you need to make for a podcast, all in one, completely. So download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started.
So, I feel like if they dug a little deeper and got to get the information that we've gathered, that they would have seen something was really wrong. Obviously, I feel like all these killings were like cries for help, and that's why he's so calm now that he was caught. That's why he's so calm now talking, because he's like, finally, they're listening. It's a fucked up thing to do. It's a fucked up way to get there. But it's like, finally I can be heard. I'm not gonna say he didn't deserve the death penalty, but I think he deserved at least evaluation, at least some time in an institution before they came to the death conclusion, just to see, do you think that this man deserved what he got?
I think he did. I don't think it should have taken 7 years.
Agree.
For this trial, and for them to say it was just for them to make sure that his mental state was stable. It's not an excuse. You're talking about these families sitting there waiting for
justice to be served.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I can't imagine just being a family member sitting there listening to this trial, seeing this man, the man that killed your child, and just
that hurt and that I get you. So I'm wondering, like, during the 7 years, did they seek therapy for him? Did they get him better? Then decide after therapy sessions, okay, you're normal now. Die. Like,
No, I think was it from the court documents and from other sources that I've read, they were actually literally trying to get it out of him what was going on in his life. So it wasn't them trying to fix him. It was them just really trying to figure out if he was of sound mind while doing these killings.
But I want to know, like, this whole 7 years, was he incarcerated?
Yes.
So he was.
Yes, he was in prison. These 7 years that he was that they were doing all this stuff. So, believe it or not, he got hanged in 2008. The year we graduated, he got hanged in 2008.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And these murders
at 45 years old.
I was gonna say these murders happened about 30 years ago, when we're showing our age there. But
I was not born, nor was I thought of.
I was born in '89, so
I was born late '90s, so I was a Valentine's Day make baby.
But like, this was like, you know, in my era, when I was like born and I was being raised and I was in school, and like she just mentioned, like our last year of high school, like that's when it finally ended. And that's just a very sad, and it's a delicate case there, because these are sweet, precious babies that are innocent and beautiful, and just sadistically taken away and being cannibalized and sodomized and necromized and all this, you know.
Exactly.
You know, this is just sad and sickening.
We're not talking about little girls that even have developed yet, because you see a lot of these killers, you see a lot of these rapists that are into children. They're into children that are developed.
Yeah, these kids have not been no puberty.
Exactly.
There's
the oldest was 7.
And you know, a 7-year-old girl has not developed breasts and it's not had a cycle. Like, she's not hit that yet. She's still a baby, and this is. I'm still feeling like
he cut these children's lives super short.
I'm feeling like that's when his personality started to change, like personality disorder, whatever, multiple personality that's coming in. I feel like that's when it started. So I think that's what he's holding on to, is that child. Something happened to him around that age, and he's stuck around that age. I'm feeling like that's why he's drawn to those little girls of that age, and it's filling some kind of void. Something happened that's not being discussed. I mean,
he's not opening up.
Yeah. Of course not. Why would he? Nobody cares.
Well, he's not opening up about his cases or about his killings that he did. He only basically matter-of-factly told them what he did, how he disposed the body, done, you know, this and that, and just...
He's just a factual person.
Yeah, just cut it off right there. He did not state how he was feeling. None of the documents stated what he was thinking, what he was feeling at that time. The most emotion that they got was the fact that he said the rat man, and then when he stated that his grandfather was the closest one, that's when they seen most emotion out of him, was when they were talking about his grandfather.
He's severely disassociated and very numb. He lost himself at a young age and never regained himself.
I believe that, honestly, if his grandfather talked to him a little bit more, if his grandfather talked to his parents, and because, you know, you're talking about here in America, here in our culture, our grandparents, regardless of, you know, how old we get, our grandparents are still respected by our parents. their children.
And sometimes
you understand what I'm saying?
And sometimes we love our grandparents, not like love them more than our parents, but we connect more with our grandparents.
Exactly. So it's our parents will still listen to our grandparents, because regardless of how old you are, those are still your parents.
Yeah.
So our parents take that advice, and then they pass it on to us, and we just continue that. But here in Asian cultures, the Philippines, we're essentially the same. We respect our grandparents. We listen to our grandparents. My mom and my dad are very close with their parents, or were very close. Even though they passed away now, if they were still alive, they would do anything and everything that they say.
Yeah.
But in Japan culture, families tend to move away. So you only see your family either on holidays. You get so busy working and having your life and having these kids. Like here, we're used to us seeing our grandparents every other weekend, or even in the middle of the week, at least more than just holidays. Well, but in Japan,
because I only see my grandma on holidays. One of my grandma, and my other one lives in New Zealand. I never see her, so some of us are used to that.
Well, even if you lived super close to them, you still have some kind of communication with them.
Yeah.
And mostly Korean and Japanese. I can't really say anything for Chinese cultures, but I would figure it's the same. You get so busy working, having your own family, having your own life, that you hardly talk to your parents, let alone your grandparents.
Yeah.
So, rather Miyazaki, even though he lived with his parents, he actually would spend more time with his grandfather. His parents didn't spend as much time at his grandfather's house.
So they just needed each other.
Basically. The sisters didn't go over there as much as he did. It was just basically him. So they connected on a whole different level.
They were friends more than anything.
Yeah. So I believe if it was, culturally okay for his grandfather to go up to his parents and tell him, hey, I believe this is what should happen, and I believe you need to spend more time with him, talk with him, associate with him more, I don't believe none of this would have happened.
I disagree on that. I feel like they probably would have been offended, but also, still wouldn't have cared. Yeah, you're telling me this, but it doesn't mean anything.
Well, that's why I say if it was culturally appropriate, because I'm not saying I'm just saying in general, their behavior towards him, even if it was culturally appropriate, I don't think the behavior towards him would change. I think it would still be, they don't like him, he's whatever feelings they have for him would still be there. It would just be acceptable for the grandparent to step in. That would be the only thing that would change. I don't think their feelings for their child would change. I never understood why his grandfather just didn't take him in.
Did his grandfather know what was going on? Or was there lies being told to cover it up?
No, I don't. It never stated that, but from what I see, is he was so close to his grandfather that I believe, when you love somebody so much, you look up to them, you want to make them proud. So I believe that if he would have lived with his grandfather, he would have done the right thing.
Yeah, I agree.
So he was living with a family that not only disapproved of him, but thought he was an embarrassment. So it was a constant mental abuse sitting there. And
This
the only
case is
break
interesting.
the only break that he had, even though he was still being bullied, was at school.
Yeah.
And to his grandfather. His grandfather's house, he didn't get bullied. He was
place.
loved.
Yeah.
But that's why I think if he honestly would have lived there, I don't think it would have happened.
I agree with that part. If he had more love and affection in his life, I don't think it would have happened to that extent. I think something would have happened, because I do believe that some people are wired that way, and I do feel like there's something in him, like that personality disorder would have come out eventually. I don't think it would have been this going on. Something else would have happened. Might not have been as severe, but something else would have happened, because I really feel like it's inside of him. I don't believe that there are learned killers. I believe that it's in you to kill.
Right. There's something that's deep down, and it comes up. But it's, even though it's on paper cut and dry what he did, I still want to know what made him, I guess, interested in doing that.
Yeah.
Because he's intriguing to me, because there's not a lot about him personality wise, like his.
There's a lot of missing pieces here.
There really is. It's just like I said, cut and dry. What he did, that was it.
It leaves a lot of questions.
Nobody knows, not his mom, not his sisters, as to why his grades dropped. He did not talk the reason why his grades dropped. He did not talk why he would sit there and watch kids in the playground. He did not state why he stood there and watched his sisters.
I really believe it's because he knows no one would have cared. No one cared enough about him to give a shit in the beginning, so he shut all the way down and turned off. I think he turned off that humanity switch there.
Yeah,
and just became like a machine.
I don't think that I think it's weird, because I think he fully knew what he was doing, but at the same time he didn't.
Like you've had those experiences, like those outer body experiences, where you see your body doing stuff, but you're like not really in your body.
Exactly.
Like floating above or around or outside. Maybe that's something that's going on. Like he could see himself doing that, but he's so disassociated from himself and everybody else that he's not connected with his actual body. Like his soul or spirit is outside of the body, and the body's just doing it. So like he knows what's going on, but he's not in control of what's actually happening.
Yeah.
It's very interesting.
So he basically was dubbed this. He was also dubbed Dracula because he drank that little girl's blood. But of course, with his personality, I believe they were all true, but there were some reports stating that they believe he really didn't go to that extent to drinking.
That was just a fabrication.
And it was just him saying it because he lives in this fantasy world, and he, watched so many movies, he read so many mangas, and he wants to be that certain character that is like that. But in my head, I believe it is all true.
Is there paganism in Asian culture, or is it all Catholic?
In the Philippines, it's mostly Catholic. In Korea, it's mostly Christianity. In Japan, it's hard to say what religion they are, because I don't think they really associate.
So there's possible that he had some occult asphyxiations.
Possibly, but from the looks of it, I don't think so. Because he already doesn't like people controlling him. He doesn't like to be
Not
around.
when I say it's a cult with the O, not like a part of a cult, like
okay.
a cult, like
probably it's so hard to just say what he is because there's nothing there.
There's a lot of missing pieces, so we
don't
know
we
what
can
he
just
was into.
go based on what he did.
Yeah,
as
we can't blame anime for this. Anime did not make him go out and kill and rape a dead corpse. It's not anime. It's not manga.
Yeah, and it's not slasher films.
It's not that, because I watch all of those and I don't go out and become a pedo and kill people.
Yeah, so I think it started with his family disowning him.
That disassociation there.
And
negligence.
So he turned to watching videos and watching these animes, and then animes turned to porn videos, and the porn videos turned to child pornography.
And let me put it on record, not all porn watchers are pedos. I'm pretty sure you listening now watch your porn and you don't go to child pornography. So we can't blame it on porn. Yeah, we can't blame it on porn.
If you do watch child pornography, you need to go to jail and you need to stop listening to us.
You need help. You need help now. Fast. Get help. But there's not a person that can say that they've not seen porn. So we can't blame it on porn. We can't blame it on...
You can't blame it on outside.
It's definitely something that's going on inside. It's his
internally
brain.
In his environment. His environment was one of the worst.
And so we already have like poor environment, poor coping skills, poor management of stressors and emotions. So this is definitely, I would say, genetic coding versus altered mental status.
It was just weird reading it, and that's the main reason why I wanted to cover him first, because there were so many missing holes in between, but the case is cut and dry.
Yeah.
And then, again, international murderers. We don't see that often.
I was gonna say that, unless it's like Russia or you're an Italian mob. We don't really...
Exactly. Yeah. You don't see, especially in the Asians, but believe it or not, they are just like the U.S. There are many killers. There are many...
I just can't
believe it or not, there's a
like,
lot of gangsters.
In my eyes, Asians are like perfect.
No.
Because they're perfect because...
There's gangs.
I cannot believe it's a mathematics gang. I cannot believe.
No, there's quite a bit of gangs in Asia. Like, there's quite a bit of them. And then, of course, there's the mafia.
I cannot believe it.
Chinese, especially the Chinese as mafia.
Asians are next to Canadians.
Oh my gosh.
Like, no.
We're like Switzerland. We don't want to be in the middle of wars and stuff. No, but there are. There's quite a bit there's quite a bit of murderers. And you would never think that they would be, especially child killers and child rapists. No. I can see rapists because if you really look into the culture, women are so sexualized.
I can see that because like the whole phenomena of the parlors.
Oh yeah. The maid cafes.
All that.
Yeah. So now back in that day, they didn't have the maid cafes. They didn't have the butler cafes. I believe they really didn't have the host club.
They have harems.
I don't know, but you know what a host club is, right?
I do not. I'm not into that kind of stuff.
Oh my gosh. It's not that I'm into it. It's just I love learning cultures and I love learning like different places. So host clubs are basically like high-end strip clubs, but without taking off your clothes. So basically,
what the hell?
okay, so the main host clubs are men. Okay, so you go in as a woman, you go in, you pick a guy that you think is cute, that you like. Okay, you pick him out like a menu. You go in, he serves you drinks. Basically, he's trying to cipher as much money out of you as you can.
So you're picking your server.
Basically. So they're there to woo you, to have fun with you, to let you de-stress. So that's what host clubs are.
I don't like that. That sounds stupid.
Now, there are women host clubs where the men come in, but it's mainly like, it's dubbed escorts at
this
that
sounds
point.
so stupid.
So I don't believe back in Miyazaki's time, I believe the host clubs didn't really start popping off until mid 1990s. Because if you really look at the haircuts that they have,
girl, stop.
It looks mid 90s even to this day. I'm gonna have Amber watch a host club video.
Girl, it sounds so dumb. Like, I don't like that whole idea. It sounds like it's like Carvana. You know, you're going on.
Yeah,
and
so
it's like a kiosk.
Outside of the
shit.
building is the picture of all these guys. But here's the thing: these guys will make bukus of money. There was one specific host. This guy, he's not even that cute, but a lot of people thought he was cute. He was the #1 host in Japan, was making thousands of dollars a night.
Well, where do I sign up?
We're talking about close to $15,000 a night.
Because we're not taking clothes off, right? We're just flirting our way to get money.
Exactly. Now, it is up to the host discretion if he wants to if he finds the girl attractive and like sleeps with her. Then escort
that. Okay, honey, can we start a host thing? No clothes will be taken off.
So that's why in the Final Fantasy game, there's a lot of places that do the host clubs. It's because of that. So, and the Butler Cafe is more of the child version of a host club.
What the fuck? Okay, explain this.
So you have your personal butler. They call you mistress. If a man comes in, they call him the master.
Of course. Okay.
So they'll call you like Mistress Amber. You tell them what you want out of the menu, things like that. So there's also another club that essentially is like an anime club. So basically, in Japan, boys love is very popular. It's when two really cute guys flirt with each other, almost like gays.
Is this like gay for pay? Is that what we're talking about?
Almost. So,
I swear, I love Asians with all my heart, but I swear every single Asian guy has eyeliner.
They do. And it just makes your eye, because you're talking about they have monolids. Is it monolids? I forget. Yeah, it's monolids, because double eyelids is what I have.
I'm gonna just say this, like, they put on their eyeliner and their little pink lipstick and they look cuter than any female. I'm like, hey, you need a wig.
Yeah, so these anime clubs, or these boys love cafes, essentially like a person can order food and then they can order them acting out like either two waiters that they think is really cute. They can order them to act out like being flirty with each other.
So this is the RPGs.
Basically. So, and I promise we're going back to Miyazaki's stuff. But like I said, in order to understand the culture, you have to know how it is. And this was not famous up until mid to late 90s is the host clubs. Early 2000s, here comes the maid and the butler cafes and things like that. So I'm kind of glad none of this was going on around the time that Miyazaki was doing his stuff. Because I believe he would have not only done little kids, I believe he would have killed these people in these clubs as well. Because he was so much into manga and anime that he would be obsessed going into these places.
I think he would be more into that than the kids, maybe.
I think he was with both.
Yeah.
So I believe he would have had more victims.
Guys, we want your comments and your feedback on what you're thinking about this case here. It is very intriguing and interesting and very mind-boggling, and we want to know, in your opinion, like, what is the what if in your head? And do you think that he got the proper punishment, the death penalty? Granted, it took 7 years to come to that conclusion, or, regardless of that. What do you feel? We really want to know, because, like, we can go back and forth all day in the flippy floppy, and I really think that it's altered mental status and personality disorder and disassociation. But, those are my words thrown out, and you're probably like, what the hell are you saying? And all I'm saying is, like, he is not himself. He's not in his body. He's lost who he is, and he's thinking he's someone else or something else. He's not
exactly
his, like, normal thing, There's something wrong where he's just left the world in the spiritual sense. Like, his body's here, but his mind is gone. That's basically all I'm saying in a condensed version. So please let Arianne know what is your thoughts and opinions on that, because this is a wildly fucked up case.
So definitely subscribe to both of our podcasts. If you're listening to this one, this is my main channel, and then Amber's got hers. If you search for AA Crime Files, you will see 2 podcasts. It is both of ours.
Mine has the slash in it.
On on Tuesdays it will be me talking about solved mysteries. On Thursdays it will be on Amber's channel, and she will be talking about unsolved crime cases, cold cases, anything like that. And again, if you're nice enough to her, she may do a little haunted story.
I have something up my sleeve for one of our Sundays discussion. It's something I've been working on for a while, and I really think that the crowd will like this. Should I go on and tell them what the theme is?
I think we should wait till Thursday.
Okay.
So make sure to check out Thursday on her podcast for the little teaser for Sunday. Sundays is our free talk, which we will be going live on Facebook, as well as doing the podcast. So make sure that you go and like our Facebook page at facebook.com/AACrimeFiles. Like it, leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from you guys, especially on Sunday when we go live. We want to see y'all's questions and comments live as we're doing a podcast.
That way we can incorporate it in with our conversation. So it's not just Arianne and Amber, it's Arianne and Amber and you as well. And we will pick randomly someone to guest
join us. Yeah. Join us in a podcast. We would love for you guys to join us. And we know there are plenty of you guys that love hearing cases just as much as we do.
So please be engaging, and nice. But please be very engaging and showing very much interest in listening and following us along the way, because definitely we will be watching and paying attention, and the person or the persons that show us the most interest, we would want you to guest co-host with us.
And we would love to hear feedback. If we missed any kind of information, please let us know, and we will talk about it on Sundays. And it's basically our recap week, and then any teasers for the following week. We'd love to hear if you guys want to hear a certain story or want us to look up a certain person. We are making lists of people that we are looking up. There's just so many of them, but we're trying to limit it to the people that are not that well known, because all the well known, cases, they've already got so many opinions.
They're burnt out.
And so it's basically repeated. We want something fresh. We want everybody's opinion on this, one case. So if it doesn't have to be a serial killer, if it's just a story that you find very eerie or very intriguing.
If you've seen an alien, let us know.
Yeah, if you see an alien, let us know. If you see any ghost stories, let us know.
So, guys, we will be leaving on our Facebook page the information to Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, and even our email address where you can email us privately. But it should go up in a day or two, and we're working on that right now for you guys to have other ways of communication with us, and we are working on getting set up with the Spotify and Apple and all those other ways for you to stream us. So please be patient with us, as this is our first ever broadcast of a podcast, and we are learning as we're going, and we're gonna make mistakes. So please be patient, and if you want to point out mistakes, you can do so, but do so tactfully. And we appreciate you listening to part 1 and part 2 of Arianne's first podcast. I think she did a great job, and I'm sorry if you felt like I kept interrupting and interjecting, but we really want you to see how we talk when we talk together. So we're not doing this podcast as a formal podcast.
Professional? Like uber professional? Because we're not uber.
We're sitting on the couch, chilled out. She's got a laptop on her. I'm crocheting. What the hell? Your family. So you're part of the conversation with us.
Exactly. And we want you guys to be part of this conversation, because who else are we going to talk to about these cases? There's so many of them.
Yeah. So basically, we're talking to ourselves if you're listening. And if you could give us your opinion. And we're like, hey, somebody listen to us.
Just let us know. We would love to hear from you guys. And, I know you guys want to hear our voices 3 days a week. So make sure that you pop on this one on Tuesdays. Make sure you pop on Amber's at anchor.fm/Amber6357.
You remember more than I do. I don't know. It's on Facebook.
Just search Double A Crime Files in the search button. Just make sure you click both of them. We're the only ones.
And mine has the dash. Amber has the dash. _A.
So make sure that you guys check out those. But it's really super easy for you guys to just go and like the Facebook page, because I know you guys be watching those videos and memes on Facebook. So go ahead and hop onto that page as well. Go ahead and like it so you know the updates when we upload. All you got to do is just click the link, listen to it, comment on it, give us feedback, tell us what we need to work on, and we'll go from there. Like I said, like Amber said, we are learning as we go, and you guys are learning with us.
But let me add before we end this that it is free to listen to us. However, there is a way that you can donate to us to help us grow as podcasters. There is a donation button. The lowest one is 99 cents a month, and I want to say it goes up to like $9.99 and a month, and then so forth. So whatever, I don't know. But if you would like to contribute to us getting like proper equipment and getting a better setup and getting better at podcasting, please don't hesitate to donate to us. We would love your help.
We would appreciate it very much so.
But it is not something that's necessary for you to listen to us, because it is free to listen to us. So we want you to know that from the bottom of our hearts that we want you as family, and we're not out for money, but if you got some, honey, swing it our way.
Exactly. We are doing this because we just love to talk about cases. So we will end it here. You guys have a fantastic rest of the day, week. Stay calm, cool, and collected. Please don't go murdering people.
Please don't.
Please be safe, and please be careful of your surroundings.
Always pay attention.
Always.
Be safe.
At night, during the day, anywhere and anything that you do, please be careful, have fun, enjoy yourselves.
All right, guys, stay vigilant. This is Arianne and Amber signing out.
Bye.